I'll never forget the day my world started to unravel, or so I thought. My name is Alex, and I've always been someone who puts work first. I mean, who doesn't, right? I had a high-pressure job, a big house, and a family that loved me, or so I thought. I was a project manager at a large corporation, and my boss was notorious for pushing his team to the limit. I had always been able to handle the stress, but things started to change when my daughter was born. My wife and I had decided that she would stay home with our little one, and I would be the breadwinner. It was a decision we were both comfortable with, but it meant that I had to work even harder to provide for my family. I remember the early mornings, the late nights, the endless cups of coffee. I was always on call, always available. My boss would send me emails at midnight, and I'd wake up to respond. I was exhausted, but I was making it work. Or so I thought. One day, my boss called me into his office and told me that things needed to change. He wanted me to take on more projects, work longer hours, and be available 24/7. I knew that something had to give, but I wasn't sure what. I left his office that day feeling uncertain about my future and the future of my family. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would test everything I thought I knew about myself, my job, and my family. My boss leaned forward in his chair, his eyes fixed on me. "Alex, I need you to take on more projects," he said. "You're one of my top performers, and I know I can count on you." I nodded, but a knot formed in my stomach. "What kind of projects?" I asked. "High priority ones," he replied. "The kind that require dedication and long hours." I thought about my family, my wife and daughter waiting for me at home. "How many hours are we talking about?" I asked. "Whatever it takes," he said. "You're a team player, Alex. I know you'll make it work." I left his office, my mind racing. I knew what this meant. Late nights, weekends spent working, less time with my family. I thought about my wife's words that morning. "Be careful, Alex, you're already working too much." I pushed the thought aside and focused on the task at hand. I threw myself into the projects, working late into the night, sacrificing time with my family. My boss noticed my efforts and piled on more work. "You're doing great, Alex," he said. "Keep this up, and you'll go far in this company." But at what cost? I wondered. I was starting to feel like I was losing myself, losing my family. And then one day, my boss called me into his office again. "Alex, I need you to be on call 24/7, he said. "Can you do that for me?" I hesitated, unsure of what to say. I walked into my house, exhausted. My daughter ran to me, arms open wide. "Daddy's home," she squealed. I scooped her up, holding her tight. My wife smiled, but I could see the worry in her eyes. "How was your day?" she asked. I hesitated, unsure of how to answer. "It was long," I said finally. "My boss is pushing me hard." She nodded, understanding. "We'll get through this," she said. But I wasn't so sure. As the days went by, it got harder and harder to balance work and family life. I'd promised my daughter I'd attend her school play, but then my boss would call me into a last-minute meeting. I'd promised my wife we'd have dinner together, but then I'd get stuck at the office. They were understanding at first, but slowly the frustration began to build. My daughter would ask, "Daddy, why can't you come to my games?" And I'd struggle to find an answer. One night, I came home late, exhausted. My wife was waiting up for me, her eyes tired. "You need to find a way to set boundaries," she said. "You're burning out, and it's affecting us." I knew she was right, but I didn't know how to say no to my boss. I felt trapped, stuck between my job and my family. I looked at my wife, and I knew I had to find a way to make it work. But how? My boss called me into his office again, his expression stern. "Alex, I need you to increase your workload," he said. "You're not meeting the expectations I have for you." I felt a surge of frustration. "What exactly do you want me to do?" I asked. "Prioritize these projects over everything else," he replied. "Work longer hours, come in on weekends, I need results." I nodded, but inside I was boiling. How could he expect me to do more when I was already stretched thin? As the days went by, the pressure mounted. My boss would call me multiple times a day, demanding updates and pushing me to work faster. I felt like I was drowning in work, suffocating under the weight of his expectations. One night, I received an email from him at midnight. "Alex, I need this report on my desk by morning," it read. I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. How could he expect me to keep up this pace? I thought about my family, my wife and daughter who rarely saw me. I thought about my own well-being, my sanity. Something had to give. The next morning I went to my boss's office, determined to talk to him about the workload. "I need to discuss the projects with you," I said. "I'm feeling overwhelmed." He looked up from his computer, his expression unyielding. "What's the problem, Alex?" he asked. "The problem is the workload," I replied. "It's unsustainable." He leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. "You're not meeting the expectations of this company," he said. "You need to step up." I felt a surge of anger, but I bit back my response. What was the point of arguing? I left his office, feeling defeated and trapped. I sat at my desk, staring blankly at the computer screen. The words blurred together as my mind wandered to my family, my wife and daughter who rarely saw me. I thought about the long hours, the endless emails, the constant pressure. Something snapped inside me. I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't sacrifice my family, my health, my sanity for a job. I stood up, determination coursing through my veins. I would not let my boss dictate my life anymore. I would take control, make changes, and prioritize what truly mattered. I walked to my boss's office, my heart pounding in my chest. I knocked on the door, and when he called out, I entered. "I need to talk to you about my workload," I said, my voice firm. "It's unsustainable, and I won't do it anymore." My boss looked up, surprised. "What are you talking about, Alex?" he asked. "I'm talking about the long hours, the constant pressure," I replied. "I have a family and I need to prioritize them." He leaned back in his chair, a calculating look in his eyes. "You're making a big mistake, Alex," he said. "You're either all in or you're out." I looked him straight in the eye. "I'm out," I said, the words ringing in my ears. I turned and walked out of his office, feeling a sense of liberation wash over me. I had taken the first step towards reclaiming my life. Now I just had to figure out what came next. I walked out of the office, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. What would I do next? I thought about my skills, my strengths, and my passions. I had always been interested in starting my own business, but the thought of it was daunting. I decided to explore my options, to see what was out there. I started by talking to friends and family, seeking their advice and guidance. "What do you think I should do?" I asked my wife. "You need to do what makes you happy," she said. "We'll support you, no matter what." I also reached out to colleagues and mentors seeking their insight and expertise. "What are my options?" I asked. "You could start your own business," one of them said, "or you could look for a new job that offers better work-life balance." I considered their words, weighing the pros and cons of each option. I also started researching online, reading articles and watching videos about entrepreneurship and career development. As I explored my options, I began to feel a sense of hope and possibility. Maybe this was the opportunity I needed to create a better life for myself and my family. One day, I received a call from a friend who owned his own business. "Hey Alex, I heard about what happened with your job," he said. "I think you should come work for me." I was taken aback by the offer, but I was also intrigued. "Tell me more," I said. And he did, sharing his vision for the company and the role I could play in it. I listened intently, my mind racing with possibilities. Could this be the answer I was looking for? I sat in my friend's office listening to his proposal. "You'll be in charge of a team," he said. "You'll have a significant role in shaping the company's direction." I was torn. On one hand, it was an opportunity to start fresh and create a better work-life balance. On the other hand, it was a risk. I didn't know if the company would succeed, or if I'd be a good fit. "What are the expectations?" I asked. "I need you to lead the team and drive results," he replied. "But I also want you to be honest with me about what's working and what's not." I thought about my family, my wife and daughter who were counting on me. I thought about my own goals and aspirations. Could I really make this work? "I need some time to think about it," I said. My friend nodded understandingly. "Take all the time you need," he said, "but I need an answer soon. The company's future depends on it." I left his office, my mind racing with uncertainty. What would I decide? Would I take the leap and join the company, or would I play it safe and explore other options? The outcome hung in the balance, and I knew that whatever I chose, it would change the course of my life forever. As I walked home, I couldn't shake off the feeling that this decision would be a turning point in my life. I thought about all the what-ifs, all the possibilities. What if the company failed? What if I wasn't good enough? What if I missed out on an opportunity? The questions swirled in my head, and I knew I had to make a decision that would impact not just my life, but the lives of those I loved. I stood in my boss's office, my voice firm. "I quit," I said, effective immediately. My boss's expression didn't change, but I could see the surprise in his eyes. "You're making a big mistake," he repeated. I didn't respond. I just turned and walked out of his office, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. I packed up my things and said goodbye to my colleagues, some of whom looked shocked, others sympathetic. As I walked out of the office building, I felt a sense of uncertainty. What would I do next? I thought about my family, my wife and daughter who were waiting for me at home. I knew I had made the right decision, but I was scared about what came next. I got into my car and started driving, my mind racing with possibilities. I thought about my friend's job offer and the possibility of starting my own business. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. When I got home, my wife was waiting for me in the kitchen. "How did it go?" she asked, concern etched on her face. "I quit," I said, feeling a sense of pride and liberation. She nodded, a small smile on her face. "I'm proud of you," she said. "We'll figure it out together." I hugged her tightly, feeling grateful for her support. We sat down at the kitchen table and started brainstorming about what came next. The possibilities were endless, and I was excited to see what the future held. I spent the next few days focusing on my family, spending quality time with my wife and daughter. We went on walks, had picnics, and simply enjoyed each other's company. I realized how much I had been missing out on, and I was determined to make up for lost time. My wife encouraged me to explore new opportunities, to find a path that aligned with my values and goals. I started by updating my resume and reaching out to my network. I also started researching new industries and companies, looking for a better fit. One day I received a call from my friend, the one who had offered me a job. "Hey Alex, have you thought about my offer?" he asked. "Yes, I have," I replied. "I'm interested in discussing it further." We scheduled a meeting, and I went in prepared to ask questions and learn more about the company. My friend was enthusiastic and passionate about his business, and I found myself getting caught up in his excitement. "We're looking for someone with your skills and experience," he said. "I think you'd be a great fit." I left the meeting feeling hopeful, feeling like I might have found a new path. As I walked home, I thought about the possibilities. Could this be the start of something new and exciting? Could I find a way to balance my work and family life? I didn't have all the answers, but I was eager to find out. When I got home, my wife asked me about my day. "I think I might have found a new job," I said, a smile spreading across my face. She smiled back, her eyes shining with support. "That's great news," she said. "I'm proud of you for taking the leap." I sat on the couch reflecting on the journey that had brought me to this point. I thought about the job I had left, the stress and pressure that had taken a toll on my family and me. I thought about the difficult decision to quit and the uncertainty that had followed. But most of all, I thought about the lessons I had learned along the way. I had learned the importance of prioritizing my family, of setting boundaries and being intentional about my time. I had learned that success isn't just about achieving goals, but about living a life that aligns with my values. As I looked back, I realized that I had grown in ways I never thought possible. I had discovered a newfound sense of confidence and self-worth. I had learned to trust myself and my abilities, and I had learned to prioritize my own needs and desires. I thought about my family and how they had supported me every step of the way. "You're doing great, honey," my wife said, noticing me lost in thought. "You're finding your path." I smiled, feeling grateful for her support. "I'm trying," I said. "I'm learning as I go." She nodded, her eyes shining with understanding. "That's all anyone can do," she said. I stood up, feeling a sense of determination. I knew that I still had challenges ahead of me, but I was ready to face them head on. I was ready to take control of my life, to make intentional decisions, and live with purpose. I walked over to the window, looking out at the world outside. I felt a sense of hope and possibility, a sense that anything could happen. And I knew that no matter what came next, I would face it with courage and determination. I received a call from my friend, the one who had offered me a job. "Alex, I've got some exciting news," he said. "We're expanding our operations and I want you to be a part of it." I listened intently as he outlined the plans, the opportunities and challenges that lay ahead. "What do you think?" he asked. "Are you in?" I hesitated for a moment, weighing the pros and cons, but as I thought about it, I felt a surge of excitement. "Yes, I'm in," I said. My friend laughed, relieved. "Great," he said. "I'll send over the details." As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of anticipation. What would this new chapter bring? Would I succeed or would I fail? I thought about my family and how they would be affected. But most of all, I thought about the possibilities. I walked over to the kitchen where my wife was making lunch. "Guess what?" I said, a smile spreading across my face. "I've got a new opportunity." She looked up, curious. "What is it?" she asked. I told her about the job and the plans for expansion. She listened intently, her eyes shining with interest. "That sounds exciting," she said. "What do you think about it?" I shrugged, feeling a mix of emotions. "I'm not sure," I said, "but I'm willing to give it a shot." She nodded, supportive. "We'll figure it out together," she said. As we sat down to eat, I couldn't help but think about the future. What would it hold? Would I make the right decisions, or would I stumble? I didn't have the answers, but I was ready to take the leap. I was ready to see what the future held, and to face whatever challenges came my way. I sat on the porch watching my daughter play in the yard. She laughed and ran, her ponytail bouncing behind her. I thought about the sacrifices I had made for my job, the long hours and late nights, and I realized that it wasn't worth it. My family was more important than any career or title. I thought about the decision to quit my job and how it had been the best decision I ever made. My family was happier, and I was more present. I could attend school events and have dinner with them every night. As I watched my daughter, I knew that I had made the right choice. She was thriving, and my wife was happier too. We were a team, working together and supporting each other. I thought about the future and how I wanted to prioritize my family and well-being. I wanted to be present, to be there for the milestones and the everyday moments. I wanted to be a good husband and father, and to create a life that was meaningful and fulfilling. My wife came out onto the porch and sat down beside me. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, noticing the look on my face. "Just how much I love you guys," I said, putting my arm around her. She smiled and leaned into me. "We love you too," she said. I looked out at the city, the lights and sounds of the bustling streets below. I thought about my journey, the twists and turns that had brought me to this point, and I wondered, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you take the safe route, or would you take a leap of faith? Would you prioritize your family and well-being? Or would you chase after success and recognition? The answer is different for everyone, but one thing is certain. The choices we make shape our lives in ways we can't even imagine. As I stood there, looking out at the city, I realized that it's never too late to make a change. It's never too late to prioritize what's truly important, to take a step towards a life that's authentic and meaningful. So I ask you, what's holding you back? What's keeping you from pursuing your dreams, from living the life you truly want? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Or is it something else entirely? Whatever it is, I encourage you to take a step back and reevaluate your priorities. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's truly important to me? What kind of life do I want to lead? The answers might surprise you. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd appreciate it if you liked the video, share it with your friends, and support the channel by subscribing. Thank you.